All right, good morning. We are here at Gentle Yoga, and we're going to turn off our phones, and we're going to have a swig of water or two or three. Really feel it too. Take your time and notice it. Maybe take another drink. Okay, let's do this. I'm actually really excited about today. I know I say that a lot, but I am. And the reason that I'm so excited about today is that I have been hearing feedback from folks about the challenge of getting to the mat or the challenge of working on poses that are hard or the challenge of pushing ourselves in ways that aren't easy. My goodness, we got these people coming in here. I'm gonna sit here for just a minute. Those Monday mornings, man. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this up again. So we're talking about this idea that it is challenging. It's challenging to get to the 9 o'clock class. It's challenging to do poses that our bodies aren't equipped to do or level that we're on. It's challenging to set a goal and actually get to it. And we have this, all of us as human beings, we have this way of believing that, you know, this moment is just a stepping stone to the next moment. And we all of us do it. We have this idea that this is just to get to the next, and this is just to get to the next, and this is just to get to the next. So one of the things I love about yoga, and actually the very first sutra of yoga, is now. The very first word, now, is the time of yoga. Now is the time for yoga, now. And so part of the practice is just being in the now, right? The now with the achy shoulder, now with the fight that it took you to get up and set your alarm. Now is the time to sit in the pose and not let yourself wander off to, you know, bacon and eggs. So that's the first thing I want to bring up, is that we have a pattern in our human brain where we don't want to be in the moment, and we treat the moment as a stepping stone to get to the next. We share this. We all have this. This is part of just being a human. And so when we practice yoga, now is the time for yoga. That's the very first sutra. And if you're interested in sutras, please keep an eye out. Fall, I'm bringing in the sutra studies to all of us who are doing these classes, and I'm loving it. Okay, that's in the fall. But so that's the first thing. The second thing is that it takes resistance in order to practice yoga. So it's like if you were to roll a ball down a hill, there's no yoga there. It's just, you know, but if you were to roll a ball up the hill, then there's transformative, then there's setting a goal and achieving it. Then there's that feeling of really moving something. So we have to have the resistance, the battle, the fight, the angst in order to get to yoga. And I was always taught the idea that, you know, when you are challenged, that is when the yoga starts. If you can do triangle pose for, you know, 25 breaths and you don't feel a challenge, you've not begun yoga. If you can do yoga, a triangle pose, and have one breath where you're starting to work through that issue, you've begun the yoga. Okay. So we want to watch the resistance in our mind to accomplish yoga, to be in the state of yoga. We want to have the, nah, sleep, nah, watch it later, nah, it's too hard. That is the gate to yoga, okay? So what I wanted to play with today is that idea of it is in the resistance, it is in the work, it is in the setting of the hard stuff that yoga actually starts. So in the inner circle, in my healthy habit this month, we're talking about movement, we're talking about discipline, we're talking about tejas, this fiery element, and this is what I'm talking about. If it's easy for you to get to these classes, if it's no big deal, then yeah, it's not going to have that state of yoga, that quality of yoga where you have the yin and the yang, the in and the out, the up and the down. But if it's challenging, if you have to like get here and you have to stay in those poses when they're challenging, and you have to keep bringing your mind back, knowing that you're someone who chatters in the mind, and you have to keep doing it, you're doing that good stuff. You're doing that yoga. Okay. So that's what I want to focus on today. Okay, so we got our props, and let's settle in. And as Patanjali tells us, Sutra number 1, the very first rule of yoga, the very first setting is now is the time for yoga. Now. So let's watch the pattern of our mind that wants to go into all the chatter. No, it's right now. It's right now. And just to give you a little taste, a little bit of a taste, the second sutra is the purpose of yoga. So first is yoga is now. We're going to set it up. And the sutra 2 is the quieting of the mind is the purpose of yoga. So as we sit here knowing that this moment is right now, right? Right now, however you're feeling, indigestion, sleepy, cranky, it's too loud, like all the stuff that's happening in your world right now, 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 now. There's nothing better than this. There's nowhere to get to. Then the purpose of being now is to learn to quiet the mind. So we have all these chatters, and you've heard probably 60,000 thoughts a day, right? 60,000 thoughts a day in the average brain. And we know none of us are average. So we have much more than that because we're so unique. All of that's happening. And so what we're trying to find is the place beyond that. And that takes us to the third sutra, which is this idea that is our bliss. That is the true essence of who we are. And I like the idea of it being the statue, the Michelangelo, the statue, not Michelangelo. Yeah, the David inside the carving. So you're chipping away at the thought patterns. You're chipping away at the excess, and I dress this way and I drive this and my kids are this, and you're chipping away at all of that when you go below those thoughts, and then you're in that true essence. So those are the first 3 sutras, and I just want to bring those up today because that's what we want even in gentle yoga, is to find the battle for you. Right? Find the battle, whether that's quieting your mind, whether it's doing a pose that you can't do very well, or whether it's just making it to this class when you maybe didn't want to. Okay? So that's our focus today. I'm calling this class in my mind the container of opposites. We are containers of opposites, and that's the way we want it, because without the opposite, without the pushing up the hill, we don't have yoga. We can't experience yoga without the resistance. Okay, let's be quiet now and let's begin now. Now is the time for yoga. So as we start to turn the lens of our mind on the breathing body, turning that inhale and exhale, inhale and exhale. You can see those chatterings, right? You can see the mind chatter. That's part of being human. And most of us, somewhere in that mind pattern, we're telling ourselves that this is just the beginning. We haven't gotten to the good part of the class yet. Or we're going to do this yoga for an hour and it's going to give us more buoyancy throughout our day. We're skipping the moment to jump away. So I want you to spend a minute here and just watch your brain tell you that this moment is just a stepping stone. 1 minute, bringing the lens to the now, watching the chatter of your mind, keep bringing it back. And as we settle into this last minute here, I want you to ponder the idea again that the reason that we do this resistance training, the reason that we practice tejas and discipline is so that our true essence, our statue of David within us, gets to be the bigger self, the part that we're living from. Instead of the external, we're actually shining our true essence. So another way to say it is so that we can know ourselves, our true selves. So starting to come into your mantra, and it could be something today like, I welcome challenge, or I hope this class is really hard. You know, like welcome the tough parts. So setting your mantra, what do you want from this class today? Do you want to experience the state of yoga, or do you just want to do it without really getting into the depth? So start to settle in on that mantra. What brings you here? Why today? And how did it take you to get here? What did it take? Let's go 5 more breaths. All right, let's bring our hands into prayer, please. Thumbs against your heart. Feel again the resistance between the hands pressing together. If you didn't have the resistance, you wouldn't be doing anything. But it is in this challenge where we get to transform. It is in the work that we get lit. So embracing the hard parts. Okay, all right. Welcome to yourself here. All right, let's take ourselves into a Sukhasana pose, crisscross applesauce, and we're just going to turn our heads. 1, 2. We had a request today for a wonky neck. 3. Just rotating side to side. Again, the mind chatter is there's so many things we can think about. We can think about what standing poses we're going to do. We can think about what we're going to do after class. We can think about other people that would be liking this neck movement, right? All the chatter. And we have a task that roots the mind to just watching the neck turn. Nothing else. Two more. And coming to center, left ear to left shoulder. Taking your right arm out and just dropping it to the ground, maybe even placing the heel of the hand on the ground. If you wanted to use a block here, if your arm is not long enough to reach the floor. And there's the resistance again. If we don't do anything with this arm, we're not getting all that we can. But if we activate this right arm and we push the heel of our hand into that mat and do the opposite by dropping the head to the shoulder, we have a lot more fire there, that resistance, that pushing the ball up the hill. Those of you who are pressing into the mat or the block, feel each finger too. Pinky fingers, ring fingers, middle fingers, index, thumb. How does that change the activation in the arm? Let's add something. Let's go even further into the challenge and lift that left arm and encourage that more of a head to put more of a head drop. Maybe your hands can walk out a little bit, pushing equally into the mat as you drop the head. Can you add more of a push? All right, let's come on up and relax. Second side, drop the right ear. Drop the left shoulder. Heel of the left hand. Really feeling it, taking that right arm up perhaps, and again, encouraging it. You're feeling resistance. You want to feel the challenge. That's where it starts. That's where the practice of yoga begins. The mind chatter's jumping. You just keep bringing it back to the task. Press my thumb down, press my pointer down, press my middle down, press my ring down, press my pinky down. You're giving yourself a task to bring that monkey chatter to the now. Two more deep breaths. And gently release and stack it up. Very nice. Depending upon where you are in your practice, I want you to find a new spot to sit in. So this was our Sukhasana pose. Maybe you'll switcheroo and you'll go into what we call Vajrasana, where you're sitting on the ankles. That's Thunderbolt Vajrasana. Or maybe you'll go to Virasana, where you're sitting on the blocks and your ankles are wider. So you're in between the heels. So whatever feels different to you. We're going to take our arms out nice and wide, feeling the shoulder blades, right? Inhale, reach the arms up. Shoulder blades are winging out. And then exhale, palms down and release. Let's do that about 7 more times. There's nothing else to do. This is it. Now, now, now. The top of the head is lifting to the ceiling and the fingers are pulling down. There's an opposite here. As you're lifting the arms, the air is so heavy, and it's so heavy to push down, right? You can feel that fire element starting to come in. Inhale, you're moving the fire element through the space, through the air. The mind wants to wander, right? And that's the yoga, to not let it. 3 more. And gently cut that air and interlace your fingers behind you into Yoga Mudra. So you're clasping those fingers behind you into Yoga Mudra, and you're feeling, some of you, the palms touching, okay? What I love too is that this is called a yoga practice, right? We don't go to yoga perfect classes. We don't have to be perfect. We don't even have to be good at it, but it is impossible to be bad at yoga. It's impossible, right? So yoga practice opening the body, practice controlling the mind chatter, really squeezing those arms together, those palms together, dropping the knuckles to the floor and crown of head reaching up. Find the opposite. That's where the yoga begins. 3 more deep breaths. Good. And release, palms in your lap. How's your breath body? Breathing in and out. In and out. Let's take our arms up again. This time we're going to interlace our fingers and put them behind the head. So pushing the head into the hands, the elbows are wide. Now fire up the length of the spine. Big inhale. Exhale. Dip the left elbow to the left hip and push the head back. So there's a lot of things happening here. You're pushing the head into the hands. You're extending that right rib cage. Big, big inhale. And exhale. 2 more. You're looking for the challenge. Good. Inhale. Come on back up. How's that? Take a moment. Feel what's going on. Elbows spreading wide. Fingers pressing together. Crown of head lifting up. Head sitting back in space. And we'll dip that right elbow down. Looks really easy, but there's so much fiery quality here. Head pushing into the hands. Fingers squeezing towards one another as the elbows are extending apart. And we're spreading that left rib cage. 3. Pushing into the hands. 2. And beautiful. Come on out. Take those arms up and then really hard to open those arms. Feel that resistance. Palms down, pushing down, 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 down. and relax. Very good. A lot of heat. Come on off of your props here and let's take it to the legs. Same idea here. Again, we're looking for the challenge. Come into hands and knees, please. We're going to take that left leg out. Now double check that your toes are turning onto the kneecap. Remember, that's how we keep the knees safe. Okay, open and close and open and close. Just feel that pivoting of the hip. Close. Now, as you're doing this, as you're keeping that ankle turned on and as you're moving that hip open and close, double check that you're pressing equally into both hands. So you're seeking balance when it's out of balance. Pressing evenly between both hands. One more deep breath. And coming back, broken toe pose. Sit on down. Okay, again, please. Hands down. We're going to take the opposite leg open and you're going to seek the balance again. Open, keep those toes on. So again, if we think of the statue of David here and how, you just chip away, but then you see each chip away, you see more and more of the statue coming to life. That's what this is for you personally, is you're chipping away at your, I like to say, crapola. You're chipping away at external circumstances and external chatter to get to the truer essence of who you are. One more deep breath. And back to broken toe pose, please. And really feel all 10 toes spreading out. We're not trying to make this easy. We want to be in the challenge here. Crown of head is floating up, tailbones down. If you wanted to do the yoga mudra, you could do the yoga mudra. All right, downward facing dog. Finding those fingers, equal space between each and every finger, including the thumb. Curl those toes under and take your bottom up. So beginners will stay for about 5 breaths. If you're working on a more intermediate level today, it's 8 to 12 breaths. And this is a perfect example. If we did not have gravity, we would not be able to be strong in this pose, right? We would just be a wet noodle still lying on the mat. But it is in gravity, it is in the pull of gravity that we are pushing up. And that's just like in life. It's when things get hard that we get stronger. When we have to accomplish something and we have to work at it, then we're like, look what I did. It's the same thing here. The pull, the resistance, the lifting up out of the magnetic pull to stay down. One more deep breath. And exhale, please. Bring your knees down and either broken toe or Vajrasana, sit down. And if neither one of those are good for you, then you can always stay into hands and knees. And we'll take 5 breaths. All right, we're going to make our way to a standing mountain pose. So watch for a moment here how you come up. One way to come up is to take one leg forward, okay? Curl the back toes under and imagine that you're going forward and then come up. That's a nice way to come up off the floor, okay? Or walk, 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 walk. So decide how you want to come up and come on up. Now, one of the things that I want to ponder with you is a peanut butter jar, right? If we're not holding the peanut butter jar and we're just turning the lid, the whole peanut butter jar is turning, right? That's why we need the resistance of holding it in order to open. I want to play with that here as well. So here's our pelvic bowl, right? And we want it to be level. We want this to be level here. Okay, so we're going to keep the pelvic bowl level here, and we're going to bend that left knee, and we're going to open the hip and close, and open and close, open and close. But the pubic bone is still aiming forward. Open and close. 3, 2, and reset. Okay, same thing. Keep the pelvis level, bend that right knee, open and close, open and close, open and close. 4 more. 2 and 1. Good. All right, that's what I want to play with. Now also, we have this triangular bone here. Okay, this is our sacrum. And when we move our knees, there's a little bit of movement, but not so much. So all we're going to do right now is walk. So my heel is coming up, my toes are staying down. Okay, so we still have hip distance, and we're just pedaling. Pubic bone is still facing forward. Two more. Okay, good. Now find your mountain. Find your mountain pose. What I love about mountain is it's very quiet, very strong on the outside, but very, very fluid on the inside. So let's find that balance. We're pushing the feet down. The crown of the head is up. There's that resistance. If we don't even try to put the head up, there's no power. But as soon as we start to do both, and play with that, both, I'm going to lift up, I'm going to push down, I'm going to lift up, I'm going to push down. I'm doing both at the same time, at the same push. So I'm not doing one more than the other. You could put a soft bend in the knees. How do I push my feet down and lift up to the crown of the head? That's happening all the time in our bodies. We're rooting, we're grounding, we're sturdy, and we're also floating and light and lifted. We can do the same thing with our armpits and our fingertips. Imagine you're lifting the armpits. Go ahead and lift up your armpits, and then take the shoulder roots and pull them down. So your armpits feel lifted, but the shoulder blade feels pulling down, right? That's happening all over through the body. Let's hold this for 5 breaths. Up, down, up, down. Now is the time, now is the time, now is the time. We're not doing this to get to the next pose. This is it here. This is the class. 2. Okay, for 5 more breaths. Now another opposite is we're breathing in with a big inhale, and we're pulling exhale out. So our body billows big on the inhale and corsets on the exhale. So all these things are happening at once. 5 more breaths. Who are you beyond thoughts? All right, very nice. Shake it off. Wash it away. Okay. We're going to go to triangle. So open your legs nice and wide. Now, if you would like, actually, let's all have the blocks, okay? Just in case. We're going to put one block in the middle of the mat in front, and we're going to put one block over here to the left. Okay, so container of opposites. We have to have the opposites in order to get to the state of yoga, right? It's got to be both. So we have the left hip open, right? The left hip is open, and we have the right hip slightly closed or neutral. We have this balance in our pelvis, okay? And now we're going to focus in on this left leg. So with this balance of a pelvis, keeping the balance, we're going to take ourselves over here as comfortable. Okay, maybe you use your block. And you decide what opposite you want to focus on. Some of you can focus on several at a time. Some of you are more new to it. So I want you to pick. You can pick right foot pressing down and crown of head moving away. You could practice pushing left big toe down and left thigh back. It's like a tug a rope war, right? If people don't play with you, then you're just there holding a rope. And how sad is that? Right? We need the resistance. Three. And two. Softly bend that left knee and come on up. Now, so whatever you decided to play with that time, you can feel free to do it again. Those of you who are going a little bit deeper, a little bit more into the depth, I want you to practice pressing through the left big toe and swiveling the inner thigh. So it's what we call scrubbing the muscles. One part of the leg is moving this way, and one part of the leg is moving this way, which is the lower shin. This is moving here, and this is moving here. So I'm going to say that again. Left big toe presses down. Shin bone, though, presses away. So it's opposite. Inner thigh is pressing the same as the big toe, but the outer hip is pressing the same as the shin. So it goes up into a ringing action through the leg. Okay, that's always happening throughout the body. If that's too much for you today, I want you to go back to the earlier levels, okay? Opposites, resistance, ringing out, peanut butter lid. Okay, here we go. Some of us pressing through the left big toe, but the shin turns behind us. Inner thigh pulls between the legs, and the outer hip pulls back. Go towards the hard, go towards the challenge, go towards your yoga edge. Make this work. Beautiful. Soft bend on that left knee, grab that block, close that hip, pause. You ready for the second side? Now. Here we go. Open to the right. We're going to go twice again, right? First time, depending upon your level, maybe you're playing with the opposite of pressing that left foot down and reaching the head away. So there's an opposite actions happening there. Or maybe you're pressing that right big toe down and pulling the thigh back. So you're pushing the ground and back. So you decide what level you want to be on. And I'm going to be quiet here and we'll play for about 5 to 8 breaths, depending upon where you are. You're working in the pose. Okay, come on up. Okay, second round, final round. What do you want to do here? Do you want to play with the scrubbing action? Our big toe is pressing down. The shin is moving away. So there's a twisting happening there, a scrubbing. Or do you want to go to the earlier level? So big toe down, shin turns out, inner thigh turns in, and outer hip turns out. Have some fun here. Here we go. Pressing over. Again, 5 to 8 breaths. Good. Very, very, very good. Bend that knee and come on up. Close that hip. Go ahead and put the second block to meet the first one. And we're going to walk, 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 walk. Cool move. Okay. All right. Now. We're going to put all that together for tree, Vrikshasana pose. But before we do, I want you to come back to this idea. So first we have the pushing down and the lifting up. That's happening. Pushing down and lifting up. Armpits up, fingers down. Armpits up, shoulder roots down. Feel that. Find something to look at that doesn't move out to the horizon, right out to the horizon. Some people like to look at the floor. Some people like to look at the ceiling and the wall. Just find a drishti, a gazing point that's steady. Keeping this action, now feel the billowing of the breath. You've got a big belly on the inhale and a corseted belly on the exhale. Feel that action. Remember, wherever there are ribs, there are lungs. So express yourself through the ribs. When you're ready, bring your hands into Anjali Mudra prayer pose, thumbs against the heart. Bend the left knee and keeping the pelvis level, open that hip. Now press that right foot down and start to bring that other leg up. You might be at the level where you're just leaning the ankle on the heel on the ankle. You might be able to press it against that lower leg. You might be able to come all the way up and press it on the inner thigh. And there's another action step where now the two legs are pressing together. Everything else is the same. We have the crown of the head reaching up. We have the foot pushing down. We have the billowing of the breath. And now we have those legs pulling together with a nice open hip and feeling this sense that the pelvis is level. So some of us are dropping the left hip and lifting the right. You could take your arms up. Play here. And beautiful. Close it up and wash it away. Wash it away. Let's go into the other side, second side here. Find that action, up and down, in and out. Bending that right heel. Again, open that hip, keep the hip level. So we're not doing this, right? We're not going offline. We're keeping it as level as we can, okay? And then we're gonna, some of us bring it to the shin, some of us all the way to the top. And find that next action step. Now we're hugging in and out through the legs. 8 breaths. One more deep breath. And gently close it up and reset. Mountain pose. Close your eyes and just receive the information. Let's bring our elbows to the ribs, palms facing up, and just receive the information. Good. Remembering your mantra, hands in prayer. Let's head to the floor. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, from the thighs, tip it over. Inhale, halfway up, nice flat back. And then exhale, hang here in your forward fold. There was one more thing I wanted to do before we go down to the floor, so I'm changing my mind. We're not going to go quite to the floor. If you're already on the floor because I told you to go, then go ahead and stay there. But there's one more thing I wanted to do. So inhale, sweep the arms up, and exhale. Okay, so we have these blocks here. And the reason why I want to do this today is I don't think I've taught this online at all. But so if we think about this area here, this area, right? I want to play. So we're going to take our heels wide and our toes in, nice big open stance. Now from the thigh bones, we're going to be pulling over. And I want you to feel as we start to go into this forward fold that you're actually spreading the heels and pressing in those big toes. So you can bend the knees if you need to. I want you to feel this wrapping idea. Okay, we have the blocks here if you need them. And we're going to tip ourselves all the way over, as far over as we want. And we're finding this action here where the big toes are pressing down and we're swiveling the heels. So there's that same scrubbing action in our legs again. Now here comes the challenge. Maybe this is already challenging for you and you can feel free to stay here. But the other challenge is to come halfway up and take your left hand on the block and put the block right underneath your nose. Okay, and we're going to start to turn here. So now we're turning. We've got this totally different things happening throughout the body. So I want you to play big toes pressing down, swiveling of those outer heels. That's the lower body. And then from the moving of the sacrum here, we've got this twisting action. So you can do whatever you want with that upper arm. You can take it to the sky. I like to put it on the sacrum and feel what I'm doing here. And the reason, you keep going, the reason that I wanted to teach this today is because I often talk about the resistance of the peanut butter lid, that we want to hold the pelvis level so that we can turn. This is not one of those examples though, because we want the whole spine to be free. So there is, in some of us, a slight desire for the lowest part of the back to move too. So I want you to play with the idea for yourself. What does the pelvis want to do in order for you to get the sweet spot? Is there a little bit of a rotation through that pelvis? Big toes pressing, inner thighs and heels spreading open, long, healthy spine, and then maybe your right hip is lifting slightly. Another 3 breaths, please. 2, and coming back to forward. And now we're going to set it for the second side. Go ahead and come back to flat. And we're going to go to the second side here. Again, finding your own anatomy. So we could think of the pelvic bowl as very level. We could think of it as if we have a teacup sitting on that sacrum and we don't want to move it. But I'm inquiring here today, what if we let that tip over? What if we let the left hip roll up as we twist to the second side? Big toes pressing down, inner thighs and heels spreading open, and a slight rotation all the way through the spine, letting the back be free. So another way to say it is less resistance than holding it still, but still resistance. 2 more deep breaths. Beautiful. Let's slowly come back to flat, taking your blocks, and we'll walk, 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 and bringing our knees down. Sitting into Vajrasana if that serves you, or any variation. Let's say hi to our neck. So we're going to take the blocks up high. We're going to take a pillow for our forehead. This, for some of you, is too high. You'll go to the lower level. Where the tank top strap is, that's going on the blocks. So we're going to come into being in hands and knees. I'm going to go low so you can see that. Okay? Shalambhasana. We're going to bring our hips down. We're going to slide the blocks right underneath the heads of our shoulders. Fold the arms back and rest. Some of you will not need a pillow. Some of you would enjoy a little bit higher of a release. Keep here. So here we have the blocks preventing us from being flat. And it is because of the blocks that we are getting this release. If we didn't have the blocks there, we would be laying flat with our head twisted with compression and no release. Again, resistance, challenge is what gives us that transformative quality to enter the state of yoga. 3 more deep breaths. Beautiful. When you feel ready to come up into hands and knees, come on up. And look here for a moment. Just watch here for a moment. So one of the most challenging things to do for many of us as we get older is to turn our head. If we don't do it regularly, it's one of those use it or lose it. So when we started class today, we turned our head side to side, and maybe some of you noticed that it was really challenging for you. And I distinctly remember learning this pose when I first started yoga, and I could not do it and couldn't fathom how I would ever be able to do it. So if that's where you are, then enjoy, because now it's like, oh, yummy. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to start in, just watch for a moment. We're going to start in hands and knees. We're going to bring our left cheek to the floor. Now, this is a very deep neck stretch because I've got gravity pushing, bringing me down. So we want to keep the hips above the knees. Some of us will be able to bring our hands down by the ankles and let these shoulders shrug. So it basically feels like your neck is going to, I don't even want to say, but letting the whole ear come to the floor. When I first started, I could only bring my mouth to the floor. Okay, I couldn't turn. So one of the challenges is to keep your hands here so that you're not fully putting all that weight in the head, eventually coming in. So go ahead and try it for yourself. And if this is not accessible to you at all and you don't want to do that, then I would say go to downward dog and let gravity help you in that way. So it's a very deep neck stretch. And this one, we can have those shoulders come on up and let yourself be really saggy here through the shoulders. And we'll go for 5 more breaths. Appreciate the magnetic pull of gravity here. It's hugging you. It doesn't want you to leave. It just wants you to stay here forever. It's just so safe here in this gravity. And it's the pulling up from that magnetic pull where we build courage and strength and discipline and willpower and tejas. And so feeling that balance, that relationship, that opposite, that seesaw. Okay? All right, come on back up. I was saying earlier on social media, it takes a river and a bank. You can't have one without the other. You can't have a river without a bank, and you can't have a bank without a river, right? They're both. All right, let's switch sides here. Opposite ear down. Relax the shoulders. Let them be where they want to be. This side might be completely more tight than the other one. You're just noticing, and you're coming back to the now. 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 You can hear all the chatter of your mind, and we're chipping away at pulling the mind back. Now is the time for yoga. Dive below the thoughts. It's not supposed to be easy, but that is the yoga. Three more deep breaths. Beautiful. And come on back up. All right. Starting to move towards stillness now. We're going to take fish pose. We're going to use the 2 blocks. You can go whatever level you want. Okay. I like to go high. So I'm going to take my 2 blocks. One is a pillow and one is for my shoulder blades. I know some teachers teach it where it's wide. I like the middle. So you decide how you want to do it. We're going to scoot the bottom forward, and we're going to find this resistance from going to the floor. Instead of going flat, I've got this something holding me up. How can I benefit from this stopping me from being all the way to the bottom? I can feel the chest open, right? If I were flat, I would not get the same opening. When you have an argument with your kid, when you have an issue with traffic, when you have something that's not going your way, it is in that resistance where we grow. 8 breaths. Walk those feet wide, lean the knees together. And now is the time for yoga. Two more deep breaths. And now gently hug the belly lock in. So you're hugging in, and that is what helps you lift up with integrity and setting up for your most important pose. This is where all of the work comes to. Okay, so finding Shavasana. And as you find this last pose, maybe you're taking blocks under the knees or a blanket under the head or whatever. I'm going to chatter here for a moment. So one of the things that is so great, like I was saying about the riverbank, you have to have both. So in yoga, you have to have the work and you have to have the surrender. That's the river and the bank. You have to have the work and you have to have the surrender. But the thing is that you have to have this resistance to surrender to get to surrender, right? You can't, it's not just floppy, right? It has to be something that you're actively putting into place. Your action step is to let go. That makes sense. So that's what we're setting right now. We are going to present ourselves in a position. We are setting the task to the position in order to humbly bow and let go and surrender. Okay? So making your way there now. Okay, so now finding and make it perfect. Like do everything you need to so that you can really feel good. Get the socks on if you want. Get your ponytail out of the way. Take off your watch. Do all the things that you need to do so that you really have the time and the energy and the space to let go. And then when you're ready here, just gently close your eyes. And using your inspector, your investigative mind, start to seek out anywhere that you're holding tension, anywhere you're resisting the letting go. Maybe it's clenching around the muscles of the scalp. Maybe it's squeezing your bottom or your belly. So you're actively seeking out where you are resisting surrender, and you are surrendering, relaxing, relaxing. So let's do it together here. I want you to take your right leg and I want you to squeeze it. I want you to clench up your toes and squeeze your butt and squeeze your right leg. Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, and let it go. Let's do that again. Fire up that right leg. Squeeze it. Squeeze the butt. Squeeze the feet. Squeeze those thighs. Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, and let it go. One more time. Fire it up. Fire it up. Fire it up. Feel it. Feel it. Really holding on. Locked up, locked up, locked up, locked up. And then oozy, gooey as it releases. Let's do that with the left. Same thing. Squeeze, tight, locked, charged up. Fire, 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 and release. Again, twice more. Squeeze, tight, pull it in, tight those toes, squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them, and release. Last one, fire it up, really turn it on, feel yourself clenching, feel yourself gripping, feel yourself squeezing, 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 and release. And maybe even rolling the legs, like wash it away, wash it away. Let's do that with the right arm. Squeeze it, 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 and release. Let the shoulder blade fall. Twice more. Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze the hand, make a fist, squeeze it, and release. Last time. Fire it up, make it tight, make it tight. Oh, squeeze it, and let it go. Maybe roll your head side to side. We'll do it to the left. Here we go. Left arm, squeeze it, tighten it up, squeeze the fist, make it tight. Squeeze. and release. Releasing all the way from the scapula, all the way from that shoulder blade. Twice more. Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. Last one. Squeeze it, tighten it up. Feel it all squeezing, 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 squeezing. Let it go. Roll your head side to side. Now you're going to open your mouth, stick your tongue out, big crazy face, and let it go. Do that a couple more times. Big face, stick your tongue out, big face, and let it go. Last one. Really open. Open. Big eyes, everything is awake and alert, and let it go. And close your eyes. Exhale. Very good work today. Embracing our container of opposites. Good work. So now we're letting go. And as always, may we sit in the spirit of gratitude, not just when things are easy, not just when they are going our way, not just when we can pre-plan and have expectations come through, but also when things are going broken and falling apart and off track and against what we wish, like all of it. Can we be grateful for all of it? It is where we transform. Deep bows to you all. Thank you so much for showing up for us, for myself, for you, for yourselves, keeping our lights on. Deep bows to you all. And namaste.